they ask us to develop data flow diagrams for Acme Garage Lily Day, right? So they ask us to produce the context diagram and level 0 diagram, and they ask us to pick up one process in the level 0 DFT and develop level 1 DFT, right? So that is what we are doing, right? So these are the steps. So before we proceed into developing level 0 and the context diagram, so my first starting point is this event table, right? So what I have done, couple of changes, because sometimes event table need to be changed little bit to reflect data flow context, right? Because here we are talking about external agents, right? So I need to identify all the external agents. So these are the sources and the destination, and these are the external agents, and correctly identify the events and the use cases. Now remember, I already marked your assignment this week. I'll release it because I need to wait until the other tutors mark their classes. So you will get my feedback. Now the thing is, I haven't actually seen most of you guys the submissions. Please go through my comments, the video comments I have posted, because I haven't seen in some of you have correctly identified external agent. Now in this particular event table, we design in a way it fit with the data flow diagram, right? So here we are identifying the external agent, external to the system, right? So for example, in your case, sometimes if you focus on, say, in your case, for example, patient record keeping system, subsystem, right? Appointment subsystem, something like that. Reception is basically, they are the one who actually carrying out the use cases, so they are inside the system, right? So you can't take them as a external agent, because I have seen some people, so they have listed it as an external agent. No, that's wrong, right? So they are internal, right? But doctors probably external agent, right? Because that system is not designed for the doctors themselves. They're just interacting and grabbing and supplying some information to the system. So they're external agent, and then the patient is external agent as well, right? So whoever carrying out some tasks as a process, they considered as internal agent, not the external agent, right? So that is something that you need to think of. So same rule applies to your accounting subsystem, right? And then the other inventory subsystem, etc., right? So these are the bits and pieces actually some students actually got wrong. So I made the comment, so please corrected it. I'll release the marks tonight. So please correct a bit before you submit your data flow diagram, because you need these comments, feedback, in order to do your data flow diagram. Maybe you can take little time. Maybe I'll give you time until Monday night to submit, right? So you have time until Monday night, not Sunday, maybe Monday, right? Until Monday night, okay? Because you need to get it corrected, right? So think about again based on my feedback. Maybe you may need to redraw your event table again based on my comment. Now remember, when you submit your data flow diagram, make sure you put your corrected event table again to me to have as a reference, right, in your submission, in the same submission, right? For example, first you put the event table, and then you can, after that, you just list all your data flow diagram afterward. So I can correctly refer your event table to mark your data flow diagram, okay? Right, that's the idea. Okay, so this is the Acme Garage event table. So I made some corrections in my Monday tutorial, so have a look. So I have 6 fragments. Basically, fragment means each row is a fragment. This is the first step, right? I need to get it correct, get it correct, this particular table, right? Otherwise I can't proceed to any models. So once I correct that, the second step is I'll actually draw sorry, what do you call this, DFD fragment. So each row has one fragment, right? Each row has a one fragment. So I'm just trying to draw these fragments, right? Now I ended up in fragment number 3, organized payments. Now you can see the organized payment. Actually, I included 2 rows in the organized payment use case, right? So one is customer payments, one is customer payments, the receipts from the customers, and the second one is um, and sorry, the supply payments and the customer payment, and then the notifications also part of organized payment use case. Right, so that is what I am at the moment. Right, so I have already included customer and the supply payment, but I need to include now the notification. Now see these now see how I put um, sorry, uh, temporal event. This is the way you need to put the temporal event, right? At the end of each week, or at the end of each month, or 30 days overdue, etc. etc. So it has to accompany with this uh, these double quotes, right, to show that this is referring to a specific time period. Right, so now you can see now these triggers are not part of actually a system itself. So we are not going to program or model it in our selected subsystem. So I use an external agent like calendar, right? So this is another system actually which triggers or which sends a time uh, to this use case. Then use this use case can send the reminders to the relevant parties. Okay. So based on this particular use case, you can see it's involved 2 stakeholders, customer and the supplier. So the customer receipts comes in, and then the payments goes to the supplier. So we need to make a kind of a reminders now. The first reminder is we need to remind customers about their overdue payments, right? So for that, so what I'll do is actually I'll send one reminder to this process. So I'll say, okay, so if you go through this uh, this event table, you can see so we are getting 30-day overdue reminders, right? 30-day overdue reminders, and then we send that overdue notification to the customers, right? So I just listed as a system. Uh, so this is the calendar system, right? That is what we mean by here. Okay, system means this system. Or maybe you can actually send here. Maybe you can write down the system means the calendar, right? So you can write something like that. So let me actually write that so it will be clear. So I just put CAL calendar. So that is a calendar system. Right. Right. So let's put these reminders. So the first reminder is the customer reminder. So customers getting so we had to get a 30-day overdue reminders from the system itself, right? So let me put that one so it comes. Now the reminders, usually we show it in not the reminders, I mean when we get some information from the external system, we show in a dash um, um, dash dash line or dash arrow, right? So let's make this clear. So let me make the name, give a name for this inflow. So this is the information, right? Information coming from the calendar. Uh, so um, let's say customer 30 days overdue notification. So let's say overdue notice, right? So that's what we are getting in, right? And then the second one we are getting in. Um, so we are actually focusing on this organized payment. The second notice that we are getting in from the system is 10-day notice. So this 10-day notice actually we are getting in for the for the internal purpose, right? Because once we get the reminders, so internally we can process the payment to our suppliers, right? Now actually, let me right. Okay, so this one I need. Okay, so anyway, I'll yes. So there's an overdue reminders goes to the supplier. Actually, that's fine. Okay, so let me put that due reminder to the process. So this is my second reminder comes in. Let me make this process this flow name as 10-day part payment overdue notification. So let's say 10-day. So same 10 days parts payment overdue notice. Right, okay, yeah, so that comes in, and then you can see here. So if I focus in overdue payments, um, so here in this case, sorry, the notice. So I think I have finished these two. So if I focus in these two, there is a reminder goes to the customer saying, okay, you need to pay, right? So customer overdue notification goes from the system to the customer. So from the system to the customer, from the system to customer, we are sending that notice, overdue notice. Actually, it's a data flow, right? So if the overdue notice means we are sending, okay, this is your customer ID, this is how much you due payment, this is the due date. So these are the information we are sending. So notice means the information, yeah, kind of information. So we can actually show that here. So let me show that in here. This, so it looks like it's going from this process to the customer, right? So I can name this customer, what do you call the customer overdue notice. So let me take it this side, right? And then the same time we just now basically this overdue notice is useful for the internally for the people whoever organized the payment. I think the receptionist, so I think admin people, they're the one who organize. So this is intended for them. But as a precaution, we send the notice to suppliers, maybe saying, okay, the payment is overdue, but the payment will on the processing at the moment, or something like that, right? It goes to the supplier, so we just informing the supplier. So that's a kind of a data flow as well, right? uh, so then we can record that it goes from the process to the supplier. So let me draw that one. So let's assume this, so it goes from payment to the supplier. So I just name it like supplier overdue notice. Right. Right. So that means I now completed basically the organized payment use case. You can see the organized payment use case is a little complicated one, right? Right. And now I can come to the next one. So how many we have already done? So managed car service inquiries, we did that. Yeah, so this is done. And then fixed car, done. So that is this one. And organized payments, already done. So organized payment, there are rows combined into one use case in this case. Okay. And then the last one is generating the report. So generate reports use case. Now remember, the other important thing that I want to remind you guys, your subsystem. I have seen some people, they haven't named this correctly. It's one verb, one noun, right? So don't write sentences, right? And also this has to be something like the system perspective, not like okay, reception is fill form of reception is accept form. That is not a kind of a system kind of use case, right? It has to show kind of a system perspective. What is actually the process, right? Um, so right now let's focus on this generate reports. So what I will do now, I am running out of space. uh, I try to actually write it there, right? I'm somewhere in the right hand side, so I have a little space on that side. Right, so that is my fourth one. Generate reports. Actually, let me first draw the process. Okay, so this is the process. Number 4. The process name is generate reports. Okay. And then right, so in this case, so who are the stakeholder, or sorry, external agents? So in this case, calendar, right? And then management, right? Management are getting the reports. So then we need to actually think about what entities we need, right? Because now, so in order to determine what entities we require, so we need to think about what kind of event this deals with, right? So it says time to produce reports on the jobs part list, customer payment details, time to produce monthly reports on parts, ordering parts. Now there are lots of entities involved in producing these reports, so we need to be a bit careful in this case. So actually what I can do, let's actually first focus on the external agent and information flows, and then we can focus on the entities required. Okay. So two external agents, one is calendar and one is the management, right? So let's put these two there. So this is one, this is two. So let's name this as a management, and then let's name this as a calendar, right? Um, okay. Right. So let's go back. Right. So the calendar is sending uh, the daily reminders, or it sends notice to the system at the end of each week and at the end of each month, right? So like what we did earlier, so we can now send these prompts to the system. So let's. So this is first drop a reminder. This is second reminder. Um, sorry, let's go back. End of each week and end of each month, right? So let's put here end of each week. That is the flow of information from calendar to so week information, right? Maybe week daytime, right? So each week daytime information comes in August time, and then here each month, end of each month, and then it activate the process to produce report. So it will grab some information from different sources or entities and process it and produce the reports back to the management, right? So so management are getting reports, right? So what are the report, what type of reports they are getting? They're getting weekly reports and the monthly reports, right? um, right. So if you want to little precise, I think it's you can write what kind of weekly reports, what kind of monthly reports we are getting in. So that's actually a good thing to do. Okay. So, but for the time being, I'll write here weekly report and monthly report. Weekly reports, and then monthly reports. So these are things going okay. And now we need to determine the entities, right? So let's go back here. Right, so here we need to now fill the entities, right? So entities, so what are the entities we need? So definitely what they say is they are producing some customer reports. So customer, just hang on, please, just wait. My small one is banging the door. Just wait. Sorry, guys. Um. So right. So let's determine in this case. All right, so end of the month, so we are producing some kind of a customer payment details, pass list, etc., etc. So definitely we need to take the customer entity. So customer entity, and then and then so we are producing some customer payment details, right, in this report. So we need custom invoice entity that we already identified that there. uh, Customer invoice entity, invoice entity, and then what else we need, and then this is regarding the jobs, right? Then some reports regarding the jobs. So the jobs, I think we record the job costs in car service um, entity, right? So service entity, and then here in this case, so let's go to the second one. End of each month we are producing some reports as well. For that, so we are producing some reports regarding I think parts, right? We are ordering parts, so we need definitely um, supplier and supply invoice details, right? So let's take these two, actually let's copy and paste these two entities in this case, um, and supplying, and perhaps actually um, it's good to have another um, entity for in this case, because we are ordering some goods, right? So we need to have a order entity as well, right? So let's see whether we have recognized the order entity in this case. Um, Actually not. Right. It's okay. Maybe we have recorded the supplier order details on the supply invoice entity. So that's okay. So let's actually stick with this bunch of entities for the time being. Okay. So so let me actually keep it here, and then I have the details. So I need customer, custom invoice, and car service. Uh, so let me grab the pen. Okay, so customer, um, custom invoice, and customer, custom invoice, car service. Right, and then I need supplier, supplier, customer, custom invoice, car service, supply, and the supply invoice. Supplier and supply invoice. So that means altogether 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 entities I require to generate these reports. Yeah. So let's name this um, customer, customer invoice, car service, then the supplier and supply invoice. Okay, so invoice. Right, so basically it's easy because we don't need to actually write anything, it's read, right? So we read, and then process and generate the reports. So these uh, uh, this goes inwards, so it shows the data goes towards this process. So that is why arrows are pointing towards this process. Okay, right, done. Right, so we now already created searching sensory. It's customer details. Yes, custom invoice. So what is that? Custom invoice, customer, custom invoice, car service. Yeah, because we haven't take customer detail kind of entity teachings, and so so we use the existing entities, sorry, right? So existing entities that we have used before. So customer, custom invoice, car service. So this will provide the customer details, and then this will provide the supplier related details and the parts that we have ordered, right? So actually enough for us to produce these two types of reports, right? Right, so this is step 3, right? So we now are done our now the rest is actually very easy now, right? So I need not to actually refers to this event table. Now I have this piece of paper in front of me. So now what they ask us to develop a level 0 diagram. So I need to now put this whole 4 fragments into another diagram called level 0 diagram. So I can't leave this with this one. So what I will do, I just save this one, and maybe I can open now let me actually take a snapshot of this idea. So I'll take a snapshot. So I have this in front of my I'll take a snapshot like this, because I don't want this disappear once I so I'll keep this in somewhere, and then I'll open a new for you it's easy, you can go to the diagrams.net and draw a new diagram, right? For me it's because since I'm using a sketch diagram, um, I need to open a new one. So see that the earlier one has gone. So fortunately I have this, so I can actually now use this to draw the level 0 diagram. So level 0 diagram is a combination of all three, right? So what I can do is I need to now redraw everything in a one diagram. So that's a bit of a challenge. So I'll keep this in somewhere, right? So you can't see it because I'm not showing that screen. So I'll keep it in my second screen. So I'm looking at that, and then I'm drawing the level 0 diagram, right? So bear with me, okay? So I'll take this out from your view. Right now I will draw the level 0 diagram. So I have 4 fragments. So let me draw somewhere here. Fragment 1, fragment. Actually, it's actually good practice um, to draw it in the middle, right? So I put all the processes in the middle, so I can put the external agents in the right side and all my entities in the right. Sorry, external agents in the left side, all my entities in the right side. Okay. So let me actually start here. So this is my first one. Sorry, bear with me. It's take little time. Okay, I wanted to show everything, so that is why I'll take little time. I'll go very slowly. So this is my second process, and this is my third process, and this is my fourth process. Right, so first process is manage car service inquiries. So I will write that here. Um, so this is first one. Second one is fixing the car, so fix. Third process is organize the payment. So take this here. And the fourth one is generating reports or generate reports. Right, so external agent. So basically, I have a customer and supplier. Then what else? I have management and the calendar. Right. Okay, so let me go here. Sorry, what is this? Customer. Here supplier, and here management, and here is my calendar, right? So four external agents. So that's four actually represented in my fragments, yeah. So okay, so what is this? Oops. Okay, so just name it customer. And then supplier. Here. And then management, and the calendar. So these are the four external agents I identified in my fragments, yeah. And the next step is, so now I need to now read all the inflows and outflows, right? So I will quickly go through this. So manage car service. So car service inquiry comes in from the customer. Service history information goes back, and payment status information goes back. So just name the second one, service history. Info and payment status. And then the second one, accepted code. Right, so I have a right inquiry, service history, payment status. Right. Now, when you actually see this my model, now see there is a kind of a small issue. I don't know whether you have noticed. Now, these are the bits and pieces you need to think, right? Now, see, when I see this my system, I have just noticed I missed something. Because when you put that into level 0, you will realize, right? Now see here, the second one, right? So custom is sending the accepted code, right? But there's no way I have shown in here how I send the code back to the customer, isn't it? It's actually not shown in my diagram. So that is a mistake, right? Now see, when you draw this diagram, you will see some loopholes and some kind of mistakes that you made. So that is a mistake I made. So there is a no way. Now see, the accepted code comes in. So I haven't shown before any code that we generate need to actually go first for the customer, right? And then they need to sign it and send back to us. So that part is not actually displayed. That is one of the drawbacks of my diagram. So what I need to do is I need to actually then go to my event table and see how I can correct that actually. Um, so let's go back um, and see whether we can put the code, how to put the code. Now here we are paying, the customers are paying the bill. In the fixed car, the customers send the code um, uh, and code confirmation. Or probably this is the way that we can send the code, right? Not in here, maybe the first use case, right? So we are sending the service history information, payment status confirmation, and then probably we can actually insert another row here uh, saying, okay, we are sending a code, right? We are sending a code to the customer as well. We are sending a code to the customer, right? Uh, so that means I need to go back and so what you need to do is you need to go back and change your fragment as well, right? So in the fragment here, the first fragment show that the code details goes from system to the customer, right? So like this. Okay. So code goes there. So that is a correction I need to do, right? Because it, so when I draw the level 0 diagram, it's obvious that there is some mistake, right? So let's correct that. Let's correct it, right? So now here, um, um, the code is going to the customer, right? So I'll have another information flow from this process to the customer, indicating that's the code, right? And then if I come to the second one, second process, so you can see the accepted code coming from the customer to the process, right? So that is right. So now I can say, okay, customer accepts and sends the accepted code to the process. So this is the accepted code, right? And then once we receive it, then we are sending the agreement to the customer, right? So that is what we are shown here. So agreement is going to the customer. Okay. Sorry. Right. So agreement is going from here. So now it's getting messy and messy. You have to be very careful. Okay. So that is that. So let me name this first. So this is the accepted code. Now these kind of things take little time, guys, right? That is why it will be going very quick, very slowly, because I need to have consistency between the diagrams I make. So accepted code, and this is the agreement. agreement going, and then I'll quickly go through the rest, right? So there are fixed car notification goes to the customer, and customer invoice goes to the customer, right? Okay, so now I can do that. Uh, so you can see now it's getting easy. So what I will do it actually, I'll write it somewhere here. So this is the fixed notification, and then this is the customer invoice. Okay, so let me write it here. This is customer invoice. So there are lots of flows going in and out from the customer, right? Right. So then let's come to the next one, organized payments. Right. So when it comes to organized payment, now I have to. So when it comes to organized payment, customer is uh, sending the payment details, and then we are sending the overdue details to overdue reminders to the customers, right? Overdue notice to the customer. So let's actually now it's getting a bit messier. What I can do? No. Okay, let me leave with this one. So bear with me, the lines will go very narrowly here, right? So I'll try my best. So sorry, this is getting a little messier since this is a sketch diagram. So this is the this is the overdue reminder, right? Overdue reminders goes to the customer, and then the customer sending us with the payment details. So it's come here. So just overdue is. So there are two overdue notices. One goes to the supplier and one goes to the customer. So I just and then customer payments comes in um, payment details. Right, and then we are sending the payment confirmation back to the customer as well. So there's another line has to go from here to there. So now it's getting tricky, isn't it? So let me leave this with this. Sorry, bear with me. I'm just trying to squeeze this. So that is why I just wanted to make sure that you put little bit because in the draw.io it's easy. You can drag and you can make it bit here and there. That's easy. But here I don't have that functionality. Right. So this is payment confirmation. So payment confirmation goes to the customer. And then let's come to the supplier. Supplier is getting supplier sending us the invoice, and then supplier payments goes back. Actually, uh, then I have another problem in this case. Right now, see here also. So where is the supplier? Where is the part where is Now you can see here I have a kind of a problem because we need to send first the purchase orders to the supplier, right? Before I'm getting the supply invoice. So that is actually missed in my in my the diagram. So again, so like what I did earlier, I need to go back and correct my event table, right? So let's go to the supplier side. Where is the supplier? Right here, right? Um, so organize the payments. Uh, Sorry, I may miss one. I miss these two, right? Sorry, I miss these two because you can see the stock orders are going to the orders are going to um, um, from the system. Now, actually, system is not a very good source. We can say something else. We can say I missed that actually in my first here, right? So I need to actually make another diagram. Sorry, I missed that one. Um, the full field order, uh, full field order um, um, use case diagram, or what do you call this? Uh, Level. What do you call this? I forgot the name. Fragment. So this fragment I forgot to draw it here. So please draw the fifth fragment. Full field orders. I missed that one. Um, or maybe uh, okay. So what we can do? Here the generate quote is already there, right? So generate quote is already there. I have put it here. Uh, Maybe actually I can delete this one. Let me delete this one. So I assume that it has handled by here the code, right? So I missed this last. So I will delete this one. Uh, but please draw this data fragment. Okay. So I assume that I have drawn it, and let me put that to my level 0 diagram straight away. So what it says is stop ordering. Uh, Now here it says the system, right? Now system state event means um, um, because of some sort of usage, um, the stock level has gone down, so that triggers to order some stocks, right? So that means I need to have another use case, another diagram in this case. So another process. So let me actually draw that process. Fulfill orders here. Let me actually delete this one. Now maybe I can put somewhere. So I put somewhere here. Okay, fulfill orders. Okay. Orders, and then so what it says according to our uh, this one table, um, purchase orders goes to a supplier, right? Purchase order goes to a supplier triggered by the system. So in this case, I change the system to um, maybe here, right? So actually fixed car use case, when the car is fixing, we are using some stuff, right? So then that actually triggers to reduce our stock levels, and then it triggers to have our purchase orders, right? So that means this process triggered by fixed car use case, isn't it? So let me have another flow here. So I'll name this one as so I'll put a kind of so part usage, right? Part usage. I put that trigger like this, right? That is what we mean by this, okay? Fixed car, because it comes from the fixed car. So part usage triggered the fulfill orders, and then it triggered kind of purchase orders to the supplier, right? So let me put that like there. So it triggers. Okay, so this is the purchase order. So I just put purchase. This is a state event. Now, when you get your feedback, sometimes I may have question, what do you mean by this system? Now see here, I have name it, whether it is calendar or whether it is, maybe you can say in this case system, and then inside the brackets you can say, okay, it's fixed. So it's clear, right? So which system component triggering this use case, right? So it's clear now. Right, so purchase orders goes to the customer, and then the suppliers sending the invoices to us, right? So that is what it showed in our fragment, right? So invoices, supply invoice comes from here to organize payment, right? So we need to draw that now. So supply invoice come from here to organize payments. Okay, so here to organize payments, um, uh, the invoice is coming in. And then, according to our fragment, um, um, supply invoice comes in, and then supply payments goes to the supplier, and the overdue notice goes to the supplier as well. Right, so from here to here, we are sending uh, the payment, right? Supply payment, right? So bear with me. I just crossed this line because I don't have the space. So this is supplier payment, and then I need to send supplier, right? This is the overdue notice. So we are sending the supplier, okay, we will pay it, it's even though it's still overdue, right? That is the notice actually mean. Right. So that's all about organized payment, and then sorry, there's one more. The calendar sending two reminders to the process. So we need to show that as well. Okay, so the calendar send two reminders to the organized payment. So since this is a sketch diagram, it should be okay. I can redraw it nicely with the diagram using diagram. Okay, so the first one, 30 days overdue notice. So I just this say like this customer 30-day um, overdue. It's, again the calendar is sending 10 days part payment overdue notice as well. Okay. Right, so then the next one is the last one is fragment is generating reports. So weekly reports, monthly report go to the management, and the calendar sends some reminder notice to the process. Right. Okay, so it's getting messy now. So unfortunately, I need to cross these lines, right? So there are two types of reports we are generating and sending to the management, right? So weekly reports and the monthly reports. So I just write it here. Right. And then the calendar is sending two reminders again to this process. End of each week reminder and end of each month reminder. End of week and the end of right. Right. So we done that, and then the next step is we need to make sure we capture all these entities in here as well. So I'll quickly draw the entities now. It will be really big mess because the time it will be getting crossed by each other. So that's okay. So I need custom invoice. Okay, so I will custom invoice. Customer custom invoice. And then we have a car service entity. And then we have a supply invoice. Supplier uh, so invoice. What else we got? And that's it, right? So these are the four, sort of five basic. Um, Actually, we need to have another one more because we are saying we are keeping our uh, spare parts, right, or inventory, right? So I think I have missed that one. Maybe you can think about it, because when you order the stocks, you can see here, we need to actually record that in my inventory inventory account, right? So probably I had to use that as well. So I'll have another inventory account here. Okay, so now we need to now link, right? So manage car service. It reads from the customer. It reads from the customer invoice, right? So what I will do is I'm just looking here. Write, read, write. So all these things I'll represent in my level 0 diagram. Read, and second process, it reads from the customer. It write to the customer invoice, and read and write from the car service. Read and write to the car service, or update to the car service. And organize payments, read from the customer, and write to the customer invoice, or update the customer invoice, and read from the supplier, and uh, write to the supply invoice, write to the supply invoice. And maybe you can say, okay, for the inventories also, because we are generating a kind of purchase orders, so we read the inventory levels and then see whether we need to send the purchase orders, and then once the stocks have been received, we update our inventory, right? So read and update. So there are two lines, and then for, so here, maybe here, right? Actually here, not this one. Maybe I can. Yeah, so that is okay, because we need to read and write for the organized payment as well. So we need to put a kind of a comment to update the inventory stocks. That's fine. So on the fulfill orders, we update the inventory levels as well. So that's okay. So update. So going back to the inventory, and then so right. So generate reports. So we need from the everything, right? So probably now this is a bit messy. So I need to read from every entity to generate reports. Sorry, it's messy. It's getting messier now. So what you need to do is just link every entity to this. Right, so this is actually level 0 diagram. So this is the level 0 diagram, okay? Level 0. So you can see it's very messy. When you use a draw.io diagrams.net, it's easier, so you can easily squeeze things here and there. No, not the context, right? So we haven't actually done the context diagram yet. So what we did first, step number 1 is to make the event table correct, right? That is the step 1. Step number 2, what is step number 2? Draw fragments, right? For each and every use case, we draw the fragment. Some use cases we have combined, right, to form a kind of a mega use case, right? And then this is the step 2. And the step 3, what is the step 3? Step 3 is level 0 diagram. So this is the level 0 diagram, okay? And then the step 4 is the context diagram. So that means we are going from bottom to top, right? We first draw event table, then we draw draw our fragments, and then from the fragment we draw this level 0 diagram, and then from the level 0 diagram we draw what? Context diagram, right? Context. So that is my next step. Okay, so what I will do is I'll actually save this. So let me save this as so bear with me. I save this as level 0. Okay, level 0, and now I'll open a new diagram. Sorry, it's gone. Or maybe we don't. Actually, let me open that again because I need that diagram. Right, so let me actually take a snapshot. A snapshot of this. Right, so I have in front of me level 0 diagram. So I can now open a new file, and now I can I can draw a context diagram. Context. So what do you mean by the context diagram? Context diagram is the bird's eye view of my, now this is a detailed view of my subsystem. Now here this is not a subsystem, this is a system collected of many subsystems, right? For you, this is the subsystem from your point of view, because you are design the level 0 for the subsystem, right? So you may have 6, so you already identify 6 entities, right, in your event table, or maybe you can combine some events to make it as maybe 3 or maybe 4 use cases like this, okay? And then once you've done level 0, then we can go to the context diagram. Now, context diagram is the bird's eye view of the system. So what are the things we need to show in the context diagram? So you can go refers to my notes. Now see, this is right. See, these are the fragments, right? So these are the fragments we build, and from the fragments we build this level 0 diagram. Okay, level 0 diagram, and now we can build our context diagram. So context diagram is something like this: one process to show our subsystem, and then we show all external agent. That's it, and the information flows between the external agent and the system. But we are not going to show any entities now. Remember, that's not what we are doing in context diagram. So why we develop this? This is just for the presentation purposes. When you show this, the whole thing to your department manager or whoever sponsoring this project, saying, okay, this is what I want. Yeah, this is subsystem. Because these are the people who are the different stakeholders who are sending and requesting information from our subsystem, right? And there are people who are doing the processing activities inside the subsystem, like in your case, maybe receptionists, maybe doctors, etc., etc., depending on which subsystem you are talking about. Okay. Right, now this is what we are now wanted to draw based on our level 0 diagram. Okay, context diagram. So I'll take this out, and now I build the subsystem. Right, so I am building now a so-called car service management subsystem, right? So I'll have one big process. So that's one process. So I name this as, now in this case, a car service management system. car service management system. That is the system I am building. And then now I'm writing down all the stakeholders, right? Sorry, as external agents. So how many external agents we have? 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So let's build these external agents. Um, so 4 external agents. So 1, 2, and here 3, and here 4. Right, so I just put now this is customer, and here is supplier, and here is my management, and then finally this is the calendar. Right, and now what I need to do is um, I need to think about all these information flows. I don't want to consider this right hand side, because this is the internally flows between the process and the entities or the object, right? I don't want to consider that. What I want to consider is the right hand flows of information, right? So I need to capture. Sometimes in the context diagram, I don't need to represent, or now for example in the customer, now see how many information in and out flows we have. There are several, like so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 actually, right? So there are 11. So rather than having 11, maybe I may combine some of these to form. Now remember, I have told you this week in the lecture, I need to actually assess the quality of the data flow, right? So the one of the qualities, we need to minimize the interfaces, right? So level 0, it's okay to have this. Actually, uh, sometimes we can reduce it actually for to represent only the 7 or up to 9 items, right? Because according to Miller's rule, remember the Miller's rule, we can have 5 to 9 items, connection items per unit, right? So here we can see there are more than 9, right? So what you can do is you can think about, okay, can we reduce this into 9? Maybe you can combine some of these information flows to represent only one. Okay? So you can do like that. Okay, actually that is a very good practice. But in this case, I am not going to do that for because of the time constraint. So I straight away draw the context diagram based on this. Right, so let's take some information, maybe let's say car service inquiry. So let's say the car service, that's one of the major information flow. It comes to the our subsidy or our system from the customer. And then, so let's capture only few stuff, maybe, um, and then um, payment status is going back, right? So what I will do is in this case, let me take this as a one separate information flow, and let's capture now you can see the quote details going to the customer from the process, and the payment status goes from the process to the customer. Service history information goes from the process to the customer. So what I will do is I'll capture all these three together and form a one outflow from the process or from the system to the customer. Okay, so then I will minimize number of connections. So let me go there. So this is my car service inquiry, comes from the customer. and then this one I combine three flows to one. Service history plus payment status code. These are the information flows from the process to the customer, right? Okay, so I just squeeze these three, and then let's say whether we can squeeze some more. Right, so fixed notification goes in, and then you can see there are that bunch of notification goes to the customer, right? So fixed notification goes in, and then there are some other notices like overdue notices goes in, right? So what we can do, we can capture that both in notification in a one line. So we can say, okay, so like this, can say fix and overdue notices. It goes from the process to the customer, right? Right. So then I need to come back again. Um, right. So then, so accepted code comes in. So what are the comes in from the customer? So accepted codes comes in. Uh, uh, and actually sign agreement goes back to the customer as well. Now let's put the sign agreement here. So the code plus agreement, right? That is also part of this process, right? So I just put sign agreement, and now I'm seeing from the customer uh, actually sign agreement. Yeah, sign agreement goes. So accepted code comes in, and the payment details comes in from the customer to the process, right? Payment details and accepted code. So you can actually mention that there. You can capture that as a one single process, or sorry, single uh, inflow. So you can say here accepted code plus payments, payments, right? Uh, so likewise, you need to determine what else you need to capture, right? So okay. So I think that those are the major flows, right? So I make the 11 inflows and outflows from the customer to 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe we can have another one to make it 5. Maybe you can think something else. Or maybe that's enough actually. That's okay. So I make it for 4. That's okay. So likewise, you can do the same thing for the supplier as well. For the supplier, we are sending, I think, we are sending purchase orders, right? Purchase orders, and then a supplier sends us the invoices, uh, and then we are sending the payment details to the supplier, right? So let's capture that there. Uh, Supplier. So we are sending the purchase orders, right? And then the supply sending the invoices, right? So let's take the outflow. So we are sending the purchase orders, PO. I just put PO, PO, purchase orders plus payment details, right? Also overdue notices. So these are the outflows. and here inflow is supplier sending the invoice. And then here for the management, it's very easy. We can say we can have a one outflow um, from the system to manage weekly and monthly reports. And then the calendar is sending some reminders to the system, right? So you can say in this case uh, uh, customer and this is one one reminder that we are getting from the calendar, and then there is another one for the reports, right? uh, End of month and end of week reminders for the reports. Right, so that's about it. So that is that is the context diagram. So that context diagram represent our detailed processes in the system. So the system we are developing here is called car service management system, right? So how my car service management system looks like, I can show, okay, this is how it looks like. This is the level 0 diagram. This is the main processor. This is how it interact with these entities. These are the external agents who are getting and receiving and sending information to the system, right? And then I can show, okay, so if you want more detail, so this is if you want more detail, I can show the fragments and then the event table, right? So event tables and the fragments are more useful for the programmers point of view, right? But context diagram here context diagram is more useful um, for the for our management, right? Not so I think the context diagram is gone. So anyway, context diagram is useful for management to make some decisions. Right, so that is about it. Any questions, guys? Now you know what is the steps, right? First we produce event table, and then we produce data flow fragments, and then we produce a level 0 diagram, and finally we produce the context diagram, right? That's the sequence. So any questions, guys? Chinsen, Michaela, Precious, Ryan, Spencer, are you all okay with the steps I have followed? It makes sense. I know it's a bit complicated. It takes little time actually. You need to actually think little bit, right? Kind of. Yeah, you need to think little bit. Now see, it's not that difficult, but the steps that we need to follow sometimes, yeah. So it's the, the 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 main important thing is you need to make sure your event table is correct, right? Event table is correct. This is the key part. If you done this one correct, the rest is not that difficult, right? And if you identify the entities correctly, and then the processes correctly, and the flows of information, that is the triggers, right? These are the flows of information, triggers and the responses, right? And then you capture the external agents correctly, I think the rest is not that difficult, right? And then the level one, yes, I forgot. And then the question is asking um, to produce level one diagram, right? Level one diagram. So what we can do is, if I go to now this is the context diagram. Let me actually save this before it disappear. So I just um, right. So now I need to produce a level one diagram. So what I can do is I can actually take my one of my fragments. Now let me take the one of my fragments. If I take the fragments, sorry, right? So if you take one of the fragments, now say let me think about one fragment. So organized payment. Now you can see the organized third fragment looks a bit complicated. Now I can break down into the level one. So I can have a fragment to show breakdown of this. Now let's do that one for now next. Okay. So I'm breaking down the third process, the third process. Okay. So that is the next one. So I just opened the new one. Now this is level, you can say level. Actually, this is not the level. We can call it a level three. Level three, because I am breaking down the third core process. Oh, sorry, third fragment, right? Third fragment. So I just name it as level three. Right. So in the level three, you can see I can break into two use cases, because you can see the customer payment is handled by one use case. Supply payment can be held by the another use case, right? So we can. So what I can do is I can straight away draw. Um, uh, Actually, the best way to do that is to draw a small event table again, and then break it down. But I'll go to straight away from the fragment to the level 3. Okay. Okay. So level 3. So let me come here. Let me have two processes or two sub use cases. So this is 3.1 and this is 3.2. So let me in 3.1 and this is 3.2. Right, so the first one is organize, or maybe you can say process customer payments. Okay, and then the second one is process supplier payments. Right. And then the same thing like what we did. Now I need to comply with my the lower level process, right? So you need to see now here um, there are three external layers, right? Customer, supplier, and the calendar, right? So we need to actually now this level 3 and level 3.1 and 3.2, whatever I develop here has to consistent with each other, right? So what I do is here I'll draw uh, three external agents. So let me actually draw the calendar here. So this is customer, this is supplier, this is calendar. Okay. Customer, supplier, um, Okay, so we just and the calendar. Um, so I just put calendar. Right. And then what I will do is I'll take this process in front of me and see what are the major information flows. Right. Right. So we need to actually capture now the information flows based on this. So you can see the customers. There are three flows here. Um, um, Customer um, overdue notice goes there, right? And then customer payments comes in, and payment confirmation goes out. Right now, let's capture that. So uh, overdue notice and payment details comes in, and payment confirmation goes out. Right. Yeah, so that's it. So let's name it overdue. Overdue notice, customer payment details, and then the payment confirmation. And for the supplier, the same, right? So supplier invoice comes in, supplier payments goes out, and supplier overdue notice goes out. So payments comes in, so the invoice comes in, payments goes out, and overdue notice goes out. Right. So this is the invoice. And this is payments, and this is supply overdue notice. Right. Okay. And then the calendar is sending um, for this process customer 30 days overdue notice, and for this process 10 days part payment overdue notice. Yeah. Right, so you can say and this parts in overdue notice. And then what we can do is I can have entities. So I need custom entity, custom invoice entity for this process, and then for this process I need supplier and supplier invoice. Supplier and supplier invoice. So customer invoice, This is supplier and this is supply invoice. And then I can decide, so based on this diagram, so read from the customer, write to the customer invoice, read from the supplier, write for the supply invoice. Yeah. So read, write, read, and write. Right. So that's it. That's it. So you can see this small this fragment I have break down into another level, right? 3.1 and 3.2. So why it is 3.1, 3.2? Because it's the third fragment, right? So 3.1 and 3.2. So 3.1, 3.2 is actually inside this use case, right? It's a reflective of this, right? Right. So that's about the answer to this the last part. So I developed the fragments, I developed level 0, I developed the context diagram, and then I developed level 1, or level, in this case the level 3 fragment. Okay, level 3 fragment.